The Bible is the best-selling book of all time, having sold around 5 billion copies to date. The book had several authors and can be roughly divided into two parts, the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Bible was written somewhere in the period between the 8th BC and the 1st century CE. Most of it was written in Hebrew, though parts were also in Aramaic. The Bible now is also the most translated book in human history. It primarily serves as the basis of the world's largest religion, Christianity. Quotations from Chairman Mao Tse-tung, also known as the Little Red Book, is the world's second best-selling book, having sold around 1.1 billion copies worldwide. The book contains 427 quotes on 33 different topics made by Mao Zedong, formerly translated as Mao Tse-tung, the leader of the Communist Revolution in China in 1949 and chairman of the Chinese Communist Party of China. The latter fact made Zedong the most powerful man and leader of China until his death in 1976. His book of quotations was first only distributed among military leaders, but soon after got distributed to the Chinese public as a whole. Zedong even halted the distribution of other books for a while in order to avoid competition for his own work. Beginning in 1967, quotations from Chairman Mao Tse-tung was translated into many languages and then sold to millions of people outside of China. The Quran is another religious book that finds itself within the top 10 of best-selling books of all time. The Quran was written in the 7th century CE, originally in Arabic, and serves as the basis for the world's second-largest religion, Islam. Practicing Muslims understand the book as a revelation from God, Allah, delivered by his earthly prophet Muhammad, and use the book for guidance and as the basis for their religious customs and behavior. Several authors, many of whom contemporary witnesses, contributed to the book. Coming in fourth in the ranking of top 10 best-selling books of all time, The Lord of the Rings by English author John Tolkien, aka J.R.R. Tolkien is the best-selling novel in history. To date, it sold around 155 million copies all over the world. The book is sometimes misrepresented as a book series since it technically includes 3 parts, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King, but the book is actually written as one story, not a trilogy. The decision to market 3 books was made by the original publishing house Allen & Unwin. Tolkien's fantasy novel has succeeded far beyond the book market. Many decades after the author's death in 1973, it amassed a worldwide cult following, and the 3 movies based on the book were a huge success as well. French aristocrat, aviator, journalist, and book author Antoine de Saint-Exupéry wrote the 5th best-selling book in history. The Little Prince, original title Le Petit Prince, is also still by far the best-selling children's book of all time, having sold around 140 million copies all over the world. Saint-Exupéry published the book in 1943 while living in exile in the United States after France's surrender to Nazi Germany's invasion in 1940. The Little Prince would become the French multi-talent's most successful, but also his last book. He died after rejoining the French military and crashing over the Mediterranean Sea in 1944. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is a 1997 fantasy novel written by British author J.K. Rowling. The first novel in the Harry Potter series and Rowling's debut novel, it follows Harry Potter, a young wizard who discovers his magical heritage on his 11th birthday, when he receives a letter of acceptance to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Harry makes close friends and a few enemies during his first year at the school, and with the help of his friends, he faces an attempted comeback by the Dark Wizard Lord Voldemort, who killed Harry's parents, but failed to kill Harry when he was just 15 months old. Scouting for Boys, A Handbook for Instruction in Good Citizenship is a book on Boy Scout training, published in various editions since 1908. Early editions were written and illustrated by Robert Baden-Powell, with later editions being extensively rewritten by others. The book was originally a manual for self-instruction in observation, tracking and woodcraft skills, as well as self-discipline and self-improvement, about the British Empire and duty as citizens, with an eclectic mix of anecdotes and unabashed personal observations and recollections. It is pervaded by a degree of moral proselytizing and references to the author's own exploits. It is based on his boyhood experiences, his experience with the Mafeking Cadet Corps during the Second Boer War at the Siege of Mafeking, and on his experimental camp on Brownsea Island, England. And Then There Were None is a mystery novel by the English writer Agatha Christie, described by her as the most difficult of her books to write. It was first published in the United Kingdom by the Collins Crime Club on 6 November 1939, as 10 Little Niggers, after the children's counting rhyme and minstrel song, which serves as a major plot element. The US edition was released in January 1940 with the title And Then There Were None, taken from the last 5 words of the song. Successive American reprints and adaptations used that title, though Pocket Books paperbacks used the title 10 Little Indians between 1964 and 1986. UK editions continued to use the original title until 1985. The Hobbit, or There and Back Again, is a children's fantasy novel by English author J.R.R. Tolkien. It was published in 1937 to wide critical acclaim, being nominated for the Carnegie Medal and awarded a prize from the New York Herald Tribune for Best Juvenile Fiction. The book remains popular and is recognized as a classic in children's literature. Dream of the Red Chamber, Hong Lu Meng, or The Story of the Stone, Shichu Ji, is a novel composed by Cao Shueqin in the middle of the 18th century. One of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature, it is known for its psychological scope, and its observation of the worldview, aesthetics, lifestyles, and social relations of 18th century China.